Assalamu alaikum. Today we'll be discussing third topic of our chapter, electromagnetic induction. So uh, that is transformer. So first of all, I'll be discussing with you different ways through which we were inducing EMF in a coil. The first one is that we bring a magnet near a coil or we move the coil towards the magnet, EMF will be induced. Second, if we have two coils and first coil is connected to a battery, so it will be becoming an electromagnet and it will be generating its magnetic field. So if we move it now with respect to the second coil, then again EMF will be induced. And third, if we have two coils, first coil, you can call it a primary coil, it is connected to a battery and a switch, and second coil is connected to a galvanometer. So you can see there is no connection between first and second coil, like circuit like connection, so current will not flow. But if we switch on the first coil, if we switch on the primary coil, what will happen? It will become an electromagnet. That electromagnet will be linked with the secondary coil, and when we switch it on, its magnetic field increases from 0 to maximum value. So it means magnetic field will be changing. So when there is changing magnetic field and that magnetic field is linked with the secondary coil, then EMF will be induced in the secondary coil, which will be seen through the deflection of the galvanometer read. But that will be momentarily because the condition is a changing magnetic field. So when you switch it on, magnetic field changes for a moment and EMF induced for a moment. After that, magnetic field is there, but it is constant and none of the coils is moving, so no EMF will be induced. Now again, if you switch off the primary coil, again magnetic field will change from maximum to zero value. So that will also be the change of magnetic field, but in opposite direction. Now EMF will again be induced in opposite direction. So I would like to share you some lab observation with you. So that is the activity we performed in lab. So what do we have here? We have two coils here. I have displayed some number of turns, 200 number of turns, 300 number of turns, and to link the magnetic field efficiently, I have put some soft iron rod inside both the coils. This is a galvanometer center 0. There is uh, one problem with this galvanometer you can identify, that is zero error. There is some zero error in it. Okay, second coil is connected to a battery, so I can call it primary coil. This right side coil can be called as primary coil and this one secondary coil. So primary coil will be connected to a battery source. Okay, you can see the connection is broken here, so I'll be making it and then I'll be breaking it, and then we'll be deflecting the galvanometer needle on the secondary coil. So when look, that is being connected, primary coil is being connected to the circuit, it's being switched on, and you will see some deflection in galvanometer needle. Although the deflection is small, but it is there, and you will identify that the deflections are in opposite direction when we are making the circuit and when we are breaking the circuit. Okay, so we observed it. We'll move back to the presentation. So we can we can write down the steps of EMF induction here. We have some other, like again we have these two setups, two coils. One is primary, the other is secondary. Now in primary coil, the observation which I showed you that had a DC source, but if I connect an alternating source here, what will happen now? That alternating source, earlier when we discussed in the AC generator, the waveform of the alternating current, we discussed that in detail. So if that alternating current is connected to the primary coil, what will happen? So यहाँ पर मैं आपसे अगर we have that, for example, we have this input of the primary coil, that's an alternating current. So what that alternating current is offering, that is offering, for example, on y-axis we have EMF. So that alternating current is offering different values of EMF. For example, this is 1 volt, this is 2 volts, 3, 4 volts. I should pick a dark color. And then back 3, 2, 1 and 0 volts. So this alternating current is offering different values of EMFs. First factor, and second is EMF in opposite direction, means that's like changing the terminals of the battery or reversing the direction of the current. So this alternating current is offering two things. One is changing values of EMF. So what happens when EMF or value of current in this primary circuit is changed? So for example, when we have 1 volt potential difference applied to this coil, there will be current through it and there will be a magnetic field. When it reaches 2 volts, magnetic field will be stronger. When it reaches 3 volts, magnetic field will be even stronger, and so on. So it means strength of magnetic field is changing. When strength of magnetic field changes, magnetic flux changes, and EMF is induced in the secondary coil. Second, when we have the negative cycle coming, what happens? Direction of current changes here. So if previously this was north and south of the magnet, so when direction of current will change, poles will reverse, direction of magnetic field will change, and EMF induced in secondary coil will also be in opposite direction. Okay, so alternating current on primary side is offering changed values of EMFs, which produces changing magnetic field, and EMF is induced in the secondary coil. And second, it is offering alternating current, means direction of current changes every half cycle, so that induces alternating current in the secondary coil. So you can write down these 4 steps. So I've enlisted that generalized steps. The primary coil produces a magnetic field which is properly linked with secondary coil. Changing magnetic field induces EMF in secondary coil. Since current in primary coil is alternating, the magnetic field also alternates back and forth, and this changing magnetic field induces an alternating EMF in the secondary coil. So this will be the function of a transformer. So to make the transformer more efficient, we have some more efficient designs. I tried to make it more efficient when I was making the observation by putting a soft iron rod in both the coils. So this will be the design, that we have an iron core and we have 2 wires wound. One is on the primary side, the other is on the secondary side. Look at that's a better picture. Primary side, secondary side. Okay. So where we have connected the source, this is known as primary. Where we are getting the output, that is secondary side. Okay. And now we move on to that why we need a transformer. If we have same number of turns on both the sides, on primary and secondary sides, for example, primary side has 100 number of turns and secondary side has 100 number of turns, so EMF induced will be same. Whatever is EMF on primary side will be the EMF on secondary side. So which is not the basic function of the transformer. What will happen is we will keep number of turns different. For example, primary side has half the number of turns as compared to the secondary side. So where we have more number of turns, EMF induced will be more on that side, and the relation with which we relate, I will write down the equation here, like this. Vs upon Vp equals to Ns upon Np, where Vs is secondary voltage Okay, so through this relation, we can connect the primary and secondary voltage, and where Vs stands for secondary voltage, Vp stands for primary voltage, and Ns stands for secondary number of turns on secondary side, and Np stands for number of turns on primary side. Okay, so we can use it here. For example, we have a situation: an electrical device works at 110 volts, but available is 220 volts using a transformer. Now, this is the symbol of transformer. You can be facing this symbol in electrical circuits. So what given is that number of turns on secondary side are 1000 turns, number of turns on primary side are 2000 turns. So we have the relation here which we discuss. Vs upon Vp is equals to Ns upon Np. So for example, input is given to you, means primary voltage is given to you, that is 220, and you're asked to find out the secondary voltage. So if you apply this relation, you will get secondary voltage as 110 volts. Now, if we consider an ideal transformer, then input power and output power will be same, because energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So whatever is the input power, for example, it's given 660 watts as input power. So output power will be same if we are neglecting any losses for the time being. So we can find out the primary current. We can simply apply power is IV for input side. Okay, we are using some terms here. We are using primary side and input side. Both are same thing. And second terminology, we are using secondary side or output side. That is also the same thing. So applying power is equals to IV, we can find out input power is, input current is 3 amperes and output current is 6 amperes. So we can have another relation like that. If 100% efficient transformer, then VPIP is equals to VSIS, or we can say that Vs upon Vp is equals to Ip upon Is. Okay. Second, we can have another example. Now, Ns upon Np is also known as a turns ratio. So we can have relation for step up and step down transformer also. So for step up transformer, turns ratio means Ns upon Np will be smaller than 1 for, sorry, it will be larger than 1 for step up transformer. It will be larger than 1. Okay, means number of turns on secondary side will be more as compared to number of turns on primary side. And for step down transformer, that turns ratio means Ns upon Np will be smaller than 1. Okay, so looking at the turns ratio, you can tell about a step up transformer or a step down transformer. Second, we can discuss another question here, another example. If, for example, turns ratio is given 1 upon 12 in ratio form, and input voltage is given 240 volts, so you can solve it to find out the secondary voltage, that will be 20 volts. And again, if input power is given to for an ideal transformer, you can find out Ip and Is. Now, if efficiency of a transformer change, for example, efficiency of a transformer is given 95%. So for every 100 watts on input side, output power will be 95 watts. So whatever is the input power, that is 500 watts, output power will be, I guess, 475 watts. And then you can apply for secondary side and find out the current on secondary side. Okay, so we can use these relations. Next, we'll be discussing losses in the transformer. Now, There are some losses in transformer also, and most important of them is eddy current loss. Eddy current is that we have this iron core on which wire will be wound on primary and secondary side. So due to presence of magnetic field, changing magnetic field on primary side, EMF will be induced in secondary side, but EMF will also be induced in the iron core itself and current will start flowing here. So that current, that flow of current will cause heating of iron core and that will be not wanted. So it will be causing loss of energy. So to minimize it, width of conductor is changed. We have thin sheets which are insulated and then those are placed together to form the soft iron core here, and that is used to minimize eddy current losses. Second is uh, hysteresis. Hysteresis is a retaining of a magnetic field. So if we have placed a soft iron core and wires are wound on primary and secondary side, so primary side develops a magnetic field and that iron core is magnetized. But when direction of current changes in alternating current, magnetic field should be zero and it should be it should be altered then. But hysteresis mean that demagnetization does not happen completely. So to minimize this hysteresis loss, what happens is some different material has to be used. Some alloys are used which show minimal hysteresis loss, and our transformer shows less losses. Okay, so these are two main losses which are minimized in a transformer. Then we will be discussing that how that transformer is used in transmission lines. First of all, its purpose. Initially, we discussed two main functions of a transformer. One is that it is used in electrical devices at home. So if you are getting 220 volts, 240 volts in your main line, and you have to charge a battery of 12 volts, or you have to charge your mobile phone, which has a battery of 6 volts. So that 220 volts need to be converted or need to be stepped down to smaller voltages so that you can perform your household functions. Electrical devices are to be there. So one function of a transformer is this, and second is it reduces energy losses in transmission lines. So why do we need that? For example, you have a transmission line, you have a generator here, and you have a transmission line which will be longer transmission line. It can be in kilometers or in hundreds of kilometers too, and we have some usage here on the other side. So these transmission lines are connecting the generator or the power plant to the load through very long transmission lines. Now, these transmission lines are made of good conductors, but even then it has some resistances. So that resistance will cause heating of the cables. So if we talk about loss of energy, loss of heat through the cables, so we have earlier discussed some formulas. So I square RT is one relation which we can use. So you can identify we have here I square, we have R and T is time. So T को अभी neglect कर देते हैं. So if we talk about R, it means resistance of the cable. So resistance of the cables must be minimum. So how can we reduce the resistance of the cables? By having thick cables, very good conductor cables. Thick cables have two problems. Those are costly and those are heavier. So in overhead transmission lines, heavier cables are difficult to install and those are costly too. So it means resistance can be minimized to some extent. But after that, we have to work upon the other factor, that is the current in transmission lines. Now what we have to do, we will have to install two transformer here. One transformer will be on input side and the other transformer will be here. So what will happen now? For example, if previously 220 volts was being generated here and 220 volts was being utilized here, now when 220 volts will be converted to higher voltages, for example, 1000 volts, 11,000 volts, or even 1 lakh volts. So when EMF will be converted to very high values, then current will reduce. If you have converted to EMF, for example, you have done it 100 times, then current will reduce 100 times. So it means resistance of the cables is lesser, current in the cables is lesser. Now the energy lost through the transmission lines will be minimal. So this is the main function of a transformer. The transformer will help you step up voltage and step down current in transmission lines, and you can convert it back when you are going to distribute it on the other side. Okay, so I can clear these points. Moving on. Now we can also differentiate between overhead, but before that we can discuss voltage drop also. What do we mean by voltage drop? So we'll discuss a simple circuit here. We have a power source here and we have a transmission line and then we have a load on the other side. So this transmission lines, which can span over kilometers, has some resistance. It can be considered as a resistor. For example, its resistance is low. It's almost, for example, uh, low values of resistance, but even then it will work as a resistor. And for example, that power source that is 240 volts and that load on the other side, for example, that's a lamp, it needs 240 volts to work with full brightness. But we have the resistance of transmission lines in between. So that's a simple series circuit with a power source, with a resistor, and with a load which is a lamp. So that lamp will not be getting complete 240 volts across it because there will be some potential difference which will appear across the resistance of transmission lines. So what will happen then? We will have to reduce the current in transmission lines. If we reduce the current in transmission lines, that will reduce that voltage drop across transmission lines and that lamp will get complete voltage across it. I think I'll have to draw a circuit for that. So if I, for example, this is the simple circuit which I draw to make things clear. This is a resistor which I have shown here for a transmission line, and this is a lamp on the other side, and this circuit is complete. Now this is providing 240 volts and it must get, this lamp must get 240 volts, but for example some volts, for example 10 volts appear across this transmission line resistor, so this will be getting 230 volts. So that lamp will not be working at full brightness, and this potential difference will be known as drop voltage, lost voltage, or you call it voltage drop. So if you have to reduce it, you will have to reduce the current in the cables. So V is equals to IR according to Ohm's law. If we reduce the current for the same resistance, potential difference across this resistance of the cable will decrease, and we will be getting full voltage across, almost full voltage across the output. Okay. We'll be discussing transmission lines also, differentiate between overhead and underground transmission lines. So for transmission lines, if we have installed overhead system, what are the advantages and disadvantages? Advantages are For overhead transmission lines, installation cost is low, material is low cost. What do we mean by low cost installation? Means we will not have to dig up the ground for all that paths, and wires will not be insulated, um, and maintenance of the system will also be easier. Disadvantages are it is exposed to surroundings, so there are some safety risks like lightning strikes. And in our system, we know that if it is in our towns, so it is near homes, and if some kites are stuck into the lines, so there are some safety risks there. And it also poses some threats, some obstructions to flow of traffic also. For example, if you have a transmission line, and that can also cause an obstruction in that traffic flow, where we have a heavy traffic which sometimes is higher. Then we'll be moving on to underground transmission lines. Underground transmission lines and some advantages and disadvantages. Advantages are these are safer as compared to the overhead transmission lines, and it is also safe from lightning, and it does not create any obstructions. Second, disadvantages are installation process is difficult because we have to dig the ground for that, and the installation cost will be higher because all the wires will be insulated from each other, and we will need ducts to install all these wires, and maintenance cost is also higher. Okay, and sometimes there are some complications in fault detection in that during the maintenance of those underground transmission system. So what we will conclude here, that underground transmission lines is feasible in distribution setup. For example, in your town, you are distributing electricity. So those safety precautions are must, because that can cause many accidents. So you must be installing those transmission lines during the distribution setup in underground system. Second, in overhead transmission lines are feasible when we are transmitting electricity to far areas. So long distance transmission lines are overhead. Okay, then we have some past paper practice. I have put some 10, 11 questions here. You can attempt that. These questions are related to AC generator, transformer, and induction of EMF in coils. So you can attempt these questions, and we will have a further session related to that. So that will be all for this. Do subscribe the video and the channel.